Hey my friends, how are we doing today? Welcome back to a new video. Today we have an important topic to talk about: how to know that you are healing, that you are actually breaking through the process of your own shadows, breaking through and actually discovering all those missing pieces, right? Missing pieces of the puzzle called the real authentic you. So how to know that you are moving through the process of healing and that you are actually doing the work, that you are actually experiencing a progress? Because sometimes we don't know, are we doing it right? Like, am I actually changing? Am I actually evolving? Am I actually growing? Because sometimes we don't see any results, right? So it's hard to know if we are actually moving forward, if we're actually making progress. But before we go further with today's topic, I want to read a message for you, something I write down every single day for you on my Instagram page, AttractPassion. So you can go there, check it out, give me a follow, you can write me a message if you have anything to share. And today's message goes like this: you are the most powerful when you are the most you. Remember that the only person worth comparing yourself with is your old self. Feel the growth and evolution you went through and give a sense of gratitude to your heart for how far you've come. For how far you've come, my friends. Can you feel that actually the path you're walking on brought you certain synchronistic events that reminded you that actually you're doing something right? That actually you're doing something right. So Carl Jung said, a great psychologist, he said that finding an authentic self is the central point of psychological evolution. Which means that once we discover glimpses of what feels authentic, we are actually tapping into something eternal, right? We are actually tapping into something bigger than life. Because being an authentic self doesn't mean that you need to be spiritual or that you need to be this certain way. Being authentic means that you become what feels the most natural. You become what feels the most natural. And you start to do things that feel more natural, not that feel easy, but what feels the most natural. And that is something that is sometimes hard to understand, how something can feel natural. But we all have certain relationships in our lives, and certain relationships just feel natural. Do you have a friend or somebody you're close with conversations are always natural, always flowing, you feel recharged after that? Or let's say you have a hobby that feels really natural, like when you're doing it, it feels like you would be at home, right? You would be it just feels flowy. You're connected to eternity. Do you feel like that? When you're doing something you truly love, right? That's what feels natural. So it doesn't come from our philosophical understanding of something, like we train ourselves to think to be authentic. You can watch any podcast and you will not be more authentic. It comes to your own discovery of what feels natural. So once you're able to discover more of what feels natural, it's a sign of healing. It's a sign that you're actually letting go of programming and you're coming back to yourself. That's the real home. Once you come back to yourself, you don't seek any validation from others. You don't seek love from others. You don't seek respect from others. You don't seek anything from others, because you become the source of it. And once you become the source of it, your energy changes. What happens? You become like really magnetic for those who are on the same energy. So you start meeting up similar people. So what truly happens is, for example, when I've started painting, when I've started making art, expressing myself artistically, expressing my true self through art, what happened, I've started meeting artists who are really good at that. Those artists are not, were not looking to be famous or anything. They were just having fun at creating, because that was the energy I was tapping in. And when I've started making these videos, I've started meeting people who are really big on YouTube, because that was the energy I was tapping in. I was not seeking to meet those kind of people. I was just doing my thing. But you naturally come across certain people who are on the same energy, because the universe helps us to attract people who can help us to grow. So every time when you when you look around you, what kind of people are around you, those are the people that help you to grow. Some people help us to trigger us just the right way, that we discover something suppressed within us. Like a sense of anger, like, why are you so mean? But we actually notice, oh, there's a sense of anger within me, right? There's nothing wrong with anger. Anger can actually help you to grow if you are able to channel it. Like, you know, animals shake it off, but you can shake it off in the gym. You can go for a run, you can go for a walk, or you can actually use that anger to express what you've been suppressing for such a long time. You know, sometimes we suppress the things we actually want to say, but at some point, the boiling of that anger becomes so hard that we can't hold to it anymore, right? We let it go and we say what we have to say. So it's nothing wrong with that. It's just a reminder that you need to speak your truth. So don't hold back. If you feel like you've started speaking more truth, and you've actually opened yourself and become more, what we would say, truthful, it's a sign that you're healing, like you can't hold back anymore. You don't want to hold back anymore. And that's beautiful. That's actually incredible. So don't try to hold back, because you don't need to. Maybe you've noticed that you've become more observing and less judging. Have you noticed that? Because that's a sign of healing. You've become more observing and less judging. So what does it mean? It means that you've started looking at the world from a lens of an observer. We could look at the world from a lens of a judge. Like you judge everything. You compare yourself with everything. But you can go a step backwards and expand your perspective a little bit and calm down your nerves and actually just look at what's happening. Look at what's happening without a need of judging it. And what happens, you become an observer, right? You become aware of what's happening. When we're judging, when we are constantly complaining, we're not aware of what's happening. We're living in certain reactive programs, something we've been trained to do. But we are not observers there. We're not aware that we're doing that. We do it automatically. That's why when we become better observers, it's a sign of healing. It means that you're judging less and observing more. When you observe more and judge less, you're able to see what to change, right? You recognize the patterns, and patterns can be changed. So when we start wondering how to change a certain pattern, like how to change this habit that may be toxic for me, we can start studying the work of people who did it in the past, right? That's the easiest way to learn. We have our own mirror neurons that can help us to copy the behaviors of others. That's why they say that you're the product of at least 5 people you spend most of your time with, right? Because of your mirror neurons, you start copying the behaviors of others, the words of others, the facial expression of others, the body language of others. And you become the product of people you spend the most of your time with. That's why for people who spend more time at their jobs, then with their families, they come home and they treat their family same way as their co-workers, which is not a beautiful way, because where's love, right? Where's that emotional connection, emotional openness? So we need to be aware of that. So if you're becoming more observant, a better observer, and you're judging less, it's a sign of healing. But it's a constant work, right? You've noticed it's a constant work. It's not like something that happens overnight. It's something that we need to keep reminding ourselves, keep training ourselves. Like in sports, we need years to become better at something. And here it's the same. We're like evolving our personality. So don't feel bad if something doesn't work immediately. It will work eventually if you keep up with it. The second sign of healing is that you're more responding and less reacting. So what's the difference? What's the difference? Reaction means that you do something automatically, usually out of a certain emotional sensation. Like somebody may trigger you and you react out of anger. Oh, what are you talking about? But to respond means that you need to be a bit more aware. Means that your consciousness needs to expand a little bit, so you notice the trigger, but you ask yourself, will this actually help before you say anything? Will this actually help this situation to improve in a positive way? Or will it just hurt somebody? That's the difference between the response and react. So if you're becoming more responsive and less reactive, it's a sign of healing. And that's how you know that you are actually doing the work, that actually you're experiencing the progress, which doesn't mean that you are not reacting anymore. Right? 95% of a day, we are doing things unconsciously, or at least subconsciously. So you can't be so hard on yourself if you still react sometimes. It's completely natural. Don't be so hard on yourself. But notice that every time you catch yourself, you try to respond more consciously. Like what you actually want this situation to turn on into. Like how you want to see this relationship to grow, how you want to see this whatever to resolve, right? The point is that you start transmuting these automatic patterns into more conscious ones that can be good for you and for people around you. That's what ancient Greek philosophers called the virtue of justice. And for that we need to have a certain level of self-control, which is an ability to recognize the patterns and to self-regulate, so we can actually pick what's healthier. And for that, it's required a certain level of energy, a certain level of awareness, and we can't do that if we are drained out and tired all the time. So we need to manage our energy, and to manage our energy, we need to respect our bodies a little bit more, right? Are we eating the right nutrition? Are we sleeping well? Are we thinking well? Are we taking care of our bodies, right? It's in our power. We need to ask ourselves, what is in my control to change? And focus on that, because most people are focusing on what is out of their control. If you're doing that, it's a sign of healing. It's a sign that you're healing. If you're focusing more on what is in your control to change, it's a sign of healing, right? You've stopped placing your attention onto the things that are out of your hands, onto the things you can't change anymore. You can't change your past, but you can change your perspective and perception about your past. If we think about perception as a product of our belief systems, we need to gain sometimes a better understanding of our past. So we notice that sometimes what we think to be true is actually false, because our brain makes false stories of what happens based by how we felt at that time. But obviously in the past maybe we had no right tools and information to explain what happened to us, so we create a full story of what actually happened, and we may still hold on to that full story until we question it once again with a deep introspection. We can meditate on that and we notice, well, maybe things were a bit differently, and maybe, yeah, I was a victim, but not because I'm broken, not because there's something wrong with me, but maybe because that person that hurt me was hurt, because hurt people, right? So you just need to understand that sometimes, even though you think something bad happened, it's not necessary that your story is right. So don't believe everything you think. Don't believe everything you think. Another sign that you're healing is that you've started honoring your boundaries. You've started honoring your boundaries. And what it means? It means that you respect yourself to such a degree that when you know that you need more space for yourself, you will provide it to yourself. Sometimes you need more time for yourself and you will provide it to yourself. Sometimes a certain conversation goes downward spiral and you're able to stop it and to say, thank you so much for your opinions, but I have to go, right? Setting boundaries means that sometimes you have to say no so you can say yes to yourself. Those are boundaries. You have personal boundaries. Sometimes you have spiritual boundaries. Like, I need my space right now to meditate on what happened, right? Psychological boundaries sometimes. You don't need to constantly fight with others about who have the right belief system. You don't need that. You don't need to waste your energy like that. Nobody's right, but at the same time, maybe everyone is right. We all live our own stories, and the world is mental. So, in some way, all our stories are correct. All our stories are right for us. So there's no need to fight with others. And knowing that, you set a boundary for yourself. I will not fight with others' belief systems, right? It's your personal psychological boundary. Like, I will not do that. I will actually try to learn something from that person. And if you're doing something like that, it means that you're healing, that you're actually expanding your awareness. You're becoming more aware that you're actually a student here. And everything can be a teacher for you. When you see everything as a potential to learn from it, you will grow immensely because of it. So, my friends, I celebrate you, because that's a path for the brave ones, for the ones who've actually embodied the virtue of courage. Like Plato said, courage is knowing what not to be afraid of. So remember that sometimes your emotions may not be completely something to trust. We need to understand our emotions by the way of listening our bodies. But if you're afraid of something, it doesn't mean that it's not good for you. Sometimes what we are the most afraid of may provide us the greatest possible growth. And when it comes to healing, sometimes to overcome our anxiety or lack of social skills can only be transmuted or transcended if we do what we're the most afraid of, if you expose yourself and go and connect with some new people, find a community, right? And talk with somebody, expose yourself. Sometimes trying something new may provide us more growth than any book that you can read. But trying a new thing also requires a bit of risking what we know, right? Risking the comfort zone. So we need to manage a little bit what's more important. Is more important a new experience or a sense of security, right? So make sure that you're always choosing what you know that will bring you the most growth. So my friends, I will leave you here. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings and power. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting. And thanks to all of you for supporting my art in my Etsy shop. I Draw My Passion. You're all truly appreciated. With any support, you are supporting this mission. So thank you so much. Till next time, one love.